Hello and welcome to another episode of Connecting Live with me, your host Lydia Daydal. I'm delighted to be joined in a moment. I will be joined by heavyweight boxer Nick Campbell. So stay tuned for the interview. Okay, let me just add you in, Nick. I have you here. The invitation now. I'm just going to turn off these comments. Hope everyone is well. Hi!
Hi Lydia, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you keeping?
Yeah, good, thanks. I'm good. I'm all right. I'm just up done my first session of the day, having a wee bit of downtime before second session, so can't complain.
Good stuff. So what was this morning? What kind of training were you doing?
Just done a little run this morning. I've got sparring with Tommy McCarthy later on, so just a little loosener this morning, keeping fresh. So,
Our Tommy McCarthy.
you're Tommy McCarthy, yeah. We
I'm
sparred
delighted
last
to
night.
hear.
We done six rounds last night with big T, so we're back. I'm gonna go for 8 rounds today. So, all good.
Good stuff. I'm delighted to hear there's an Irishman in the camp.
Uh, the Scots and the Irish are very close, so we
We
stick
are.
together.
We're of the same breed. We're of the same breed. That's for sure.
Exactly.
But honestly,
Celtic
I
blood.
wanted to get you. I wanted to get you on today just to talk big news with your fight that's just been announced with Jay McFarlane. Obviously Sky Sports boxer. The last time we saw you, it would have been boxer. I know I was at the event. Unfortunately, I didn't get to interview, so I'm delighted I'm getting to do it now with you. But yeah, a really big fight and first title fight for Scotland in like something 50 years, right?
71.
Oh, 71.
71 years since that was the
Wow.
last time the Scottish heavyweight title was contested, so a long time. My grandfather was actually boxing professional the last time that it was contested, so that shows you how long ago
Wow,
it was.
no way.
Yeah, so 1951, my granddad was fighting at the Paisley Shrink then, so a wee while ago.
That's amazing. So I didn't actually know that. That's obviously a good question to ask. You know, is boxing in your family or has anyone else boxed? So your granddad used to box.
Yeah, he was a pro. He was a pro. He boxed for the army. Then when he left the army in 1951, he turned pro, and I think he had maybe 13, 14 professional fights down in Glasgow.
Wow.
Obviously, it was
And
a
so,
bit different back then. But he was a tough man. Like he
so
never
is
answered
that,
them back.
would he have been the only person in your family that boxed or like, are you the next person that boxed?
I'm the next person that's done it seriously. My dad would have boxed and stuff back in the day when he was young and things, but never competitively or professionally or anything like that. So I'm the next in line.
Wow, amazing. So when you, obviously for anyone that doesn't know, your background is obviously in rugby. You were a professional rugby player up until like your late 20s or something, right?
Yes, so till I was 27. So I'm late to the boxing game, but obviously I always had an interest in it, given the fact that there's a bit of history in my family. I
Yeah.
always just loved the sport anyway. I always done a wee bit of training, and it got to the end of my last contract, and I just decided that it was now or never really to have a go at it. Had a couple of offers on the table, different contracts with the rugby, but life's short, so you may as well have a go and see what happens.
Absolutely. So what was your kind of decision to go into rugby? You know, was it something that you just done as a child and then the opportunity to turn professional was there, or what way did
I
it work?
so I've played rugby since I was 9, and I also boxed. I went to a couple of amateur clubs around Glasgow, and I think Peter Harrison's gym, old gym in Glasgow and Bridgeton, and different things. And my mum actually didn't like boxing, so she wanted me to play rugby instead, which is crazy because it's you know they're both pretty brutal sports. So that was kind of the reasoning behind it. My mum really didn't want me to box, and I was doing all right at rugby and stuff like that. And I just stuck with that, and eventually went through the Scottish age group stuff and all that. Got picked up by Glasgow, and went on to Jersey Reds and things. So that was basically it.
That's amazing. So how does your mum feel now that you're back boxing?
Eh, like any mum, I think the her heart's in her mouth when you're in the ring, and
Mhm.
she's always there. She's always supportive.
Does
She's
she
always
go to the
back me.
fights? Does she go to the fight
Yeah, yeah,
nights?
yeah. She's there. She's there. She'll be there on the 26th as well. So I wouldn't have it any other way. She's got
And
my back.
obviously,
Like,
like the 26th, not only is your own fight like a huge fight for this stage in your professional career, but also to be on that undercard of Campbell, like probably one of the best cards to be on, even just given
Josh
the
Taylor.
amount of time.
Josh Taylor.
Oh,
Josh
the Josh
Taylor.
Taylor. Sorry,
Campbell.
my apologies.
Sorry,
My
I'll let
apologies. My
you off.
apologies.
I'll let you off.
You know, you're okay. You're totally fine. But the Josh Taylor card is like obviously a huge opportunity for you, and like the kind of the history alone with, you know, two Scotsmen, the history of like the title fight, and also that there hasn't been that title fight in so long. So how is that? How does it sit with you? You know, is there nerves, or is there, you know, what way do you feel about going into this?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's nerves involved in any fight. It's natural. You know, anybody that tells you they don't feel pressure, they don't feel nerves is lying, and if they're not, they shouldn't be fighting. So I
Yeah.
just try and use it to my advantage, to be honest with you. I've experienced it all my life through my whole sporting career. And one thing pressure brings is performance if you use it properly. So that's all I'm doing really. I'm just looking to perform and use the pressure to my advantage. Like you said, Josh is one of the, you know, best fighters on the planet at the moment. So
Mm-hmm.
to be involved in his undercard is incredible. Don't know how many times we'll get him to fight in Scotland now, because obviously there's, you know, talk of fights in the US and different names and things like that. So to be involved in the 90s homecoming is pretty special, and to have the Scottish title on the line with another fellow Scot, Glaswegian's even better.
Absolutely. And it kind of those nights when you have, you know, someone in their hometown, someone of an esteemed caliber like Josh, and, you know, a stacked card around him, it's kind of before you even get there, you already know that's going to be a memorable night. It's going to be one of those nights that people go, do you remember when? Remember that
Yeah,
Taylor fight, you know, and everything else. So you're kind of like gearing up to be part of like a historical night.
yeah, definitely. I've been Scottish boxing as well, so obviously undisputed world champion, the first British one, the first Scottish one, and aye, I think the whole Glasgow fight scene, the whole Scottish fight scene will all be at that. So, like you say, Sky Sports, boxer, top rank, it's an unbelievable event to be involved in, and one that I want to grab with two hands. So, let's do it.
Absolutely. So obviously the news, you know, most recent news with you obviously is the joining with Sky Sports and Boxer. What kind of a deal? Like obviously not, you know, what was your contract, but what can we look forward to seeing? You know, are we definitely going to see you for a couple of fights with Sky? Is this your kind of new home now?
Yeah, I hope so. I loved my first experience. Obviously, I signed a 3 fight contract, so this will be the second fight of that, and I'm hoping that, you know, I can have many more. I think Sky
Mm-hmm.
Sports is probably the best platform in the UK, if not one of the best platforms in the world. So, and Boxer are a new, exciting kind of brand, and they want to put their own wee slant on things and do things a bit differently compared to all the other promoters. So, I'm I'm blessed to be part of it, and like I say, I hope that I can go out and impress and do it again.
Was that kind of part of your decision in you know, going ahead and signing with them, that they are kind of trying to have this new fresh approach and bring in this sort of newer younger boxer, you know, and do it in a different style? Was that part of the reason that kind of swayed you to sign with them?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm at the very beginning of my career, and they're
Mm-hmm.
obviously they've done things in boxing before, but this is the, you know, their first real big promotion. So to be involved in that and to know that they're going to be putting 110, but not that anybody else isn't, but it was just exciting and something new, and obviously the massive platform in Sky Sports just kind of all added together for me to go, that's what I want to be involved in.
Absolutely. And I mean, you've been a professional athlete for a long time. I mean, you know, so the professional side of being an athlete, you have that experience in. But, you know, people will say having, you know, 4-0 going into your fifth fight and being on these massive stages, you know, how does that sit with you? You know, would you have preferred to have done kind of like a smaller haul route to rack up a couple wins? Or are you happy that, you know, you're getting to make these statements on big shows?
Yeah, you know, I think at the end of the day, people would kill for the opportunity that I've been given.
Yeah.
Um, so obviously enough, yeah, you could do the small haul route and build yourself up and pad your record up and do it that way. But I've been given an amazing opportunity. I'm not a young fighter. I'm not old. I've still got plenty of years left in me, but I've not got, you know, 10, 12 years to build my career. So I've got to,
Yeah.
you know, take risks and try and push myself as far as I possibly can with the time I've got. So it was a no-brainer really when you get an opportunity like this to fight on national TV in one of the biggest platforms at some of the biggest shows. For example, the Josh Taylor fight in Glasgow. Then you can't really turn it down.
Absolutely. What else is on the kind of goals for the immediate future? Do you
Listen,
have goals? Do you do that
yeah,
thing of like, okay, I want to be heavyweight world champion? Is it like I want to
no,
fight at this venue? Like, what is it?
no. Listen, just my goal is to get to hopefully 8, 9, 10 and 0 by the end of the year.
Hmm.
Obviously, this is my 5th fight coming up
By the
professionally,
end of the
so
year,
yeah, I
another
had 4
five
fights
fights this
last
year.
year, so
Okay, good
yeah,
stuff.
I mean, I'll be hoping to have at least another 4 this year. I had 4 last year, so I want to get to at least 8 and 0 by the end of the year. That's my main goal. But listen, I try not to look too far ahead. I've got a pretty tough challenge ahead of me on the 26th of February. And I think if I don't concentrate and focus myself on that, I could slip up. So it's about getting myself ready to go out there and do a job and get the performance done, bring back the Scottish title, and then after that, sit down with Mark Dunlop and Dan, my coach, and talk about what's next. And obviously, the guys at Boxer and Sky, and see what the plan is. So, that's my goal: just to be active as possible, train hard, and 8, 9 and 0 by the end of the year, hopefully.
Good stuff. I mean, your opponent Jay, like obviously, anyone who's kept an eye on the heavyweight boxing scene over the last couple of years will know Jay, will know the different, fights that he's been in and how his career has been going. He's definitely one of those characters, that like people kind of have paid attention to. So it is that sort of fight where people are going to have their eyes set on it, and it's a topic of conversation. Who wins it? What styles? All of these different things that are going to go into it. But in terms of the wider heavyweight division, with all these new guys that are out there and coming up, it's really an exciting time. We're seeing a different sort of generation of heavyweight fighter now, where it's not that kind of old school, older fighter, heavier fighter. The heavyweight scene is full of like fresh, athletic heavyweights now, which is really, really cool to see. For you, do you keep an eye on the heavyweight scene, or do you just focus on your own career?
No, listen, I mean, every heavyweight keeps an eye on the heavyweight scene. I like to have a watch and see what everybody else is doing. I've been lucky enough to spar some of these guys different times, as an amateur and now as a pro. So it's good to see how everybody's doing and how everything's progressing, because ultimately, you're going to end up seeing these guys down the line if you achieve your goals, and that's part of the game. So I think there's some excellent matchups to be made, especially in the UK domestic scene, and I'm hoping to be part of that when the time comes. So yeah, I try and focus on myself most of the time, but if there's a fight on, I'll obviously have a watch of it and see how people are doing. And like I say, hope everybody does well so that we can get these matchups and get some good fights down the line.
Like, for your sort of style of, or your character as it were, is like you're not really one of those fighters who does the call out, who does the like slagging people off, building fights, all that kind of stuff. Or you might change. We might see a different side to you in the next couple of years. Who knows? But up until this point you haven't.
I think I think from my background in rugby, we're very respectful. You're taught, but you've never turned on and watched the Six Nations and see Gregor Townsend saying we're going to go smash England and I'm going to, it just doesn't happen. And don't get me wrong, I kind of feel like when you get to a certain level in boxing, you need to do that because you're trying to sell a fight, you're trying to sell pay-per-view, you're trying to sell, like, put bums on seats. So I'm nowhere near that at this stage. So I'm not going to get into that. Everybody who gets in the ring has my respect, and everybody that I've been lucky enough to be involved with so far in boxing has been dead on, and all the other fighters at my weight and stuff like that are all good guys. So I wish the best for them. I hope they have great success. Hope I get on, crack on with what I want to do, and like I said, when the time comes, we can make these fights. And if anybody wants to talk, I can talk. That's all right.
It's a very diplomatic answer. It's a very presidential answer you gave there.
I know. I don't think I'd make much of a politician.
Obviously, we're at a time when like social media is like so, not that it's important to a boxer's career, but it's like it's such a talking point where we see so many, we would call them boxing fans, like a casual armchair boxing fans that have such an opinion on fighters and their careers and different stuff. And you can from one week to the next, depending on a result in a fight, you can be like the top of your game, and then maybe you're getting your game picked apart then the following week. For you, how do you deal with, you know, stuff like this, doing interviews, being in the public eye, and, you know, as your goals progress in the sports, that's only going to increase and you're going to have more attention on you. So how does that sit with you?
Yeah, listen, I think it was interesting actually. I was looking at something the other day about Fraser Clark, boxer, had just done an announcement, and it was like about how, you know, he's been on the GB team for 10 years, Olympic bronze medalist, decorated amateur boxer, the GB captain going into the last Olympic Games. I've met Big Fraser, he's a cracking big bloke. And
Yes.
right under it there was some comment, don't think he'll do, I think he's another Audley Harrison, blah blah blah. And you know, I'm going, you know, people have not got anything better to do with their time than try and drag somebody down who's got a goal and trying to achieve something, and probably achieved a lot more than that guy who's ever wrote that comment has in his life and ever will. So I just laugh at things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, people have got too much time and people have got too much of a platform now to express their opinion when they shouldn't really have one. So I try not.
It's funny
try
actually.
to ignore that.
It's funny you mention, well, obviously Big Phrase and also Audley Harrison. I don't know if you've been following Audley Harrison on Twitter, but he's been going mad the last week.
He's been calling everybody out. Like,
so many people have been saying like, "Oh, you're a failed boxer," which,
guys,
you know, if you look at his resume, I'm not sure you class that as failed, but you know, what do I know?
Listen,
so it is interesting.
Some of the messages I've had, you know, guys, I just laugh. I just go, aye, good luck to you, mate. The guy's probably sitting on the couch with a beer and a packet of crisps, watching Sky Sports and going, I could do that.
Yeah.
Why are you not doing it then? Do you know what I mean? So
you know,
it is too much.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, and I think the more experience, like, I definitely even get it as well. And when I started, I used to get like really like, you know, why are they doing this? Like, why are they saying this to me? But now it's just like, it is that thing of like,
is that why you started?
Man, I'm too busy to care. What?
Is that why you started up the jiu-jitsu? So
yes.
Yeah, good stuff. Just slap them. That's the best thing to do.
Yeah, so I can choke out anyone. I gotta find their location and then I knock on the door and choke them out.
Exactly.
Guillotine them on the front step.
Who was the boxer? It was boy that played football. What's his name? I know his name. And he got a tweet off something. And he was like, "Anybody tells me who this guy is, I'll just drive to his front door right now." And somebody tweeted him his address, and he drove there.
Oh, it wasn't the guy who had the fight with Sonny Edwards. He had a Twitter fight with Sonny.
I don't know. No, he was an ex-Premiership footballer. You know, he won a British title and all that.
Hang on.
I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah. I can't remember his name though.
I always remember that, and it was brilliant. And he got to the guy's street, and then the guy wrote a big apology tweet like, "Mate, I'm so sorry. I should never have said any of that to you." They were on, I think they ended up on like Good Morning Britain, and the two of them were sitting there, and the guy was having.
No way! Okay, no, I didn't see this.
No, it was brilliant. I remember it. It was brilliant. But do you know what? That's the thing. See all these people who would say anything to you on Twitter. I guarantee they wouldn't have the bottle to say it to your face. So just laugh and smile.
100%. But I remember once David Colwell had like some guy that was like sending him all these messages, was like messaging his door. It was awful. And then he ended up finding out that it was like a 14-year-old kid or something, and he got him on a live, and the guy was like, I'm so sorry. It's just
somebody's just my coach Dan's just texted me. Must be watching. Hi Dan. Curtis Woodhouse. It was Curtis
Woodhouse. That's exactly who it is. Yeah.
That's the name. And I thought that was brilliant. He was just like, do you know what? I'm just going to go and see this guy and see if he'll say it to my face. As soon as he got into the Curtis
Woodhouse. Yeah. But that is something people say all the time, that they should have some kind of like tracking thing on Twitter. You can't just set up a fake account. Probably would solve a lot of like problems, but I don't know.
Listen, like I said, these guys would not say it to your face. So
exactly. Well, maybe not yours anyway.
Don't know. You never know. Maybe not yours. The headlocks and all that, and the arm locks and stuff.
Well, listen, I won't keep you too long more, Nick. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me. Look forward to seeing you. What training session have you got later on?
We're sparring with Big Tommy again.
Oh,
so
Tommy, of course, yeah.
I'll tell him you were asking for him.
Yes, please do tell him I was, and tell everyone I said hello there, and hopefully I see them all soon. And tell, of course, Mark Donald up as well.
He was
tell
asking
him I said
for
hi.
you. He
was
asking,
he? Do you know what? I actually, when I was going to message you this morning about the interview, I was like, oh, I'll ring Mark and just say it to him, but I didn't have his number, so I'll have to get his number.
Don't phone Mark. Don't phone him because he's crazy. he'll have you up to all sorts, asking me mad questions and all that. He's a great guy. No, he is. He's a brilliant guy, but he's mad.
He absolutely is.
He's mad.
He is. But, well, listen, have a good day. Thank you so much.
I will.
And I'll see you soon.
No, thanks for having me. I'll speak to you soon.
No problem. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Nick.